Hello everyone, welcome back to my Flashback Friday series where we take a look at each of the NFL teams, all 32 NFL teams, best or worst moments. And today we were going to do the 2009 NFL Saints season, but I don't like talking about teams that have success, particularly the NFC South teams, and more specifically the New Orleans Saints. So instead, we're going to talk about my favorite player on the team, the most valuable player on the team, the all-time great, the core of the Crescent City, Drew Christopher Brees, on this episode of Flashback Friday. So I literally just spent an hour recording this video only to realize that my microphone died in the middle of it. So I have to redo this video all over again, and hopefully this video has less mistakes as the other one did. So yay for being a YouTuber. Anyways, it seems like those days where the Saints were a long and struggling franchise are long forgotten and over with. And it also seems like those days with Drew Brees, LT, Antonio Gates, that dynamic tandem, those days also seem long and forgotten. In fact, it was pretty clear that the Chargers were giving up on Drew Brees when they decided to take Eli Manning first overall. Oh, I'm sorry, not Eli Manning. They traded for Philip Rivers because Eli Manning did not want to deal with the dysfunction of San Diego. And 15 years later, it seems like Philip Rivers will retire with more children than playoff wins.
Are you done?
No, six girls and 2 boys. No, heck no. Hopefully not.
So Drew Brees, the former Purdue quarterback, had something to prove in the 2005 NFL season to keep the Chargers from giving up on him after just 5 NFL seasons. During his time with the Chargers, he passed for 12,348 yards, 80 touchdowns to 53 interceptions. But back then, early in the 2000s, it was unheard of for a quarterback to pass for over 4,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns. Not that it doesn't happen, it does happen, but it's rare that it does happen. And Drew Brees' stats with the Chargers are average at best. Back then it was. If these were his stats currently today, they would be considered mediocre to most. And honestly, if you could compare where Drew Brees is right now to where he was back then, he is much better at protecting the football and way more accurate with the football. And speaking of protecting the football, Drew Brees' life would change drastically because of a fumbled football. That's right, it was a meaningless, I say meaningless, Week 17 matchup versus the Denver Broncos. Drew Brees steps back to pass, but he is stripped of the football, and he chases after that football like his life depended on it. He lands awkwardly on the football, and defensive player, I'm not sure if he's a tackle or defensive end, Gerard Warren, he tackles Drew Brees while he is down, and that causes him to tear his labrum, unfortunately, and he walks off the field with his arm at an angle, and that's such a scary sight to see, honestly. But because of that injury and because of that play, Drew Brees' life changed forever. Even after that injury, he was offered a chance to remain with the Chargers. The Chargers offered Drew Brees a $50 million contract with $2 million guaranteed as a base salary, but the rest of it would be based on performance incentives. However, Drew Brees didn't like that deal and he wanted more money, but the Chargers wouldn't give him more money, and he saw that contract deal as a sign that the Chargers did not have faith in him. So, the Chargers didn't want to offer him a new deal. Drew Brees said F this and tested the waters of free agency. Teams that were interested in signing Drew Brees were the Dolphins and the Saints. The Dolphins were advised by doctors to not sign Drew Brees, and the Saints were the team that decided to gamble on Drew Brees. And while San Diego was dealing with that drama, New Orleans was dealing with some drama of its own. That's right, the city was struggling after the devastating effects of Hurricane Katrina. Not only that, the Saints couldn't even play in the Super Bowl that season, so they had their home games split between Tiger Stadium and LSU in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. The team suffered a 3-13 season. There were rumors surrounding whether or not the Saints would relocate from New Orleans to San Diego. Governor Rick Perry at the time and San Antonio Mayor Paul Hardberger pushed for the Saints to relocate, and this was much to the dismay of Saints fans. This pissed off Saints fans everywhere, and Saints fans stood by this team even though they suffered 40 years of mostly losing seasons. For them to move away is just a big slap to the face. Saints fans were pissed off at Rick Perry and Paul Hartberger. Saints fans were also pissed off at the owner, the late Tom Menson, even though he never really said anything about the Saints relocating. And obviously the Saints never relocated, and considering that name, where would this team even go outside of Louisiana? But moving on, the Saints would sign Drew Brees to a 6-year, $60 million contract deal in 2006, and that fall the Saints would return to the Superdome and they experienced a magical season. Drew Brees and company went 10-6 and they made a trip to the NFC Championship. However, the Saints would fall to the Chicago Bears 39-14 as Drew Brees committed 3 costly turnovers. However, that season was surprising and Drew Brees' performance was stellar, and because of his stellar performance, he was invited to the 2006 Pro Bowl. And this was the second time ever in his career. But 2007 will be a down year for the Saints as they went 7-9 and missed the playoffs. They also missed the playoffs the following season in 2008. However, Drew Brees had a strong statistical season. He passed for well over 5,000 yards this season. That made him the second player to ever do that. The first player was Dan Marino. He set the all-time passing yards record in 1984, 24 years prior to Drew Brees becoming the second player to pass for 5,000 yards. And in 2008, he passed for 34 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, along with 5,069 yards. His performance in 2008 earned him the AP Offensive Player of the Year award and another trip to the Pro Bowl for the 3rd time in his career. But 2009 was the year, and like I said, I hate talking about NFC South teams' success, the Saints in particular, and I am definitely not a bitter Falcons fan. Drew Brees and company went 13-0, and in that 13-game stretch, they had dominating victories over the Philadelphia Eagles, the Giants, even the Bill Belichick coached Patriots. But the Saints will lose their last 2 games, the first being to the Dallas Cowboys as DeMarcus Ware causes his fumble against Drew Brees in the last seconds of the game. The Saints will lose in week 16 and Drew Brees decided to sit out in week 17 because at that point the Saints had earned a first-round bye, trip to the playoffs, and yeah, it was just a meaningless exhibition game at that point. Saints will go on to crush the Arizona Cardinals 45-14 to advance to the NFC Championship game, and that game will be remembered for 2 reasons. The first being Brett Favre's interception, and the second being Paul Allen's radio call to the interception. And I'm not even going to explain that radio call to you. You just have to see for yourself in this clip.
Now he fires over the middle, intercepted. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. It was intercepted by Tracy Porter. But why do you even ponder passing? I mean, you can take a knee and try a 56-yard field goal.
Yes, gunslinger Brett Favre was not afraid to sling it, and he is first in all-time interceptions with 336, and that NFL record will probably be unbreakable as Eli Manning leads the NFL in interceptions at 239, and next season will probably be his last season. As for Brett Favre, that interception leads to overtime, and eventually the Saints will punch their ticket to Super Bowl 44 with this game-winning 44-yard field goal. Now, all the Super Bowls after 2000 will be remembered for something special, and Super Bowl 44 was remembered for something special because Sean Payton decided to make a gutsy call and go for the onside kick after the first half. This obviously throws the Colts off guard, and the Saints end up recovering after a long scrum. And Saints get the ball, they punch it down the field, and they finally take the lead of the game, the score being 13-10 at this point. But Peyton Manning and company answered back with this 4-yard rushing touchdown. The score is now 17-13, but after that, the Saints still score 18 unanswered points. This also includes where Peyton Manning tries to lead this team down the field to tie the game, but unfortunately, he is picked off by Tracy Porter, and he takes it all the way for a 74-yard pick six. Right there, that pick six was probably one of the most emotional moments of all time for Saints fans everywhere. Drew Brees had a stellar performance in Super Bowl 44. He was 32 out of 39 for 288 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Drew Brees' early success with the Saints was no fluke. He had amazing statistical seasons after that. However, the Saints are pretty much known for having a high-flying offense, just a cruddy defense. Yes, Drew Brees, I'm sure if you were to ask him, he prefer wins over stats. And Drew Brees, he's posted stellar stats, but his team hasn't had much success beyond that until recently. This is in spite of the fact that he's had 5,000-yard seasons. This is in spite of the fact that he's had 11 straight seasons where he's passed for over 4,000 yards. This is in spite of the fact that he's had 8 or 9, I don't remember, straight seasons where he's thrown 30+ touchdowns. And not only that, Drew Brees has never had a Pro Bowl wide receiver except for Michael Thomas. Prior to that, he's had Marcus Colston, the former 7th round pick, is probably one of the most underrated receivers of all time. But one thing is certain, Drew Brees is an all-time talent. He's a Saint, he's a Hall of Famer, he's a legend, no doubt about it. He is first all-time in career completion percentage and career passing yards. Saints have reached the playoffs in the 2017 and 2018 NFL seasons. Both instances in which they've reached the playoffs, they've ended in heartbreaking losses. Drew Brees just turned 40 recently, and he only has 1 year left on his contract, but who knows, could this team possibly win it all next year? Can next year be the year of vengeance for the Saints? As a Falcons fan, I certainly hope not, because I'm still waiting for my own team to avenge 28-3. Or not. But anyways, the day that Drew Brees retires, I know that will be the day that I am jumping for joy, because that division will be Matt Ryan's and the Falcons to win. Or not. But if you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn on that notification bell, comment down below, all that good stuff, and I will see you next time.